This video is all about Uranus in Gemini, but it's going to be very different from any other YouTube video you've seen about Uranus in Gemini. I made a video about Uranus in Gemini a few months ago where I talked about what it's meant for the world historically and what my predictions are for it this time around. But now that Uranus has settled into Gemini to stay for the next 6 years, a lot has changed. And I wanted to make a video about the patterns that I've seen and my updated predictions for the years to come. First things first, let's clear up some common misconceptions about Uranus in Gemini, because I have seen so many pop astrologers sharing some bizarre and fear-mongering lies about what Uranus in Gemini means for certain individuals. This was mostly happening on Threads, but I've also seen it on Instagram and even here on YouTube. The main lie that I hear them sharing is that Uranus in Gemini means that the next 6 years or so are going to be absolutely hellish for every Gemini, and that Uranus having fully settled into Gemini means great relief for every Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And none of that is true. Uranus changing signs doesn't have a noticeable effect on individuals. And that's because Uranus is an outer planet. That means that it affects global events, world governments, and societal trends, but not your personal life and your individual experiences. And yes, it can be important and even life-changing if Uranus is forming an aspect to your ascendant or your midheaven or any of the planets in your birth chart. But that really depends on which aspect it's forming and which planet or angle it's activating, and also what your relationship to the unexpected looks like. Because Uranus is the planet of sudden changes and the unexpected. It's all about those things that happen that take you completely by surprise and might change everything. So if the thought of that happening to you scares you, you're not alone. I'm very inflexible too. But then your experience of Uranus energy will be more difficult and more scary. But if you're a very go-with-the-flow, spontaneous kind of person who loves when they get surprised, then Uranus energy is going to be very welcome in your life experience. Nothing in astrology has the power to improve or destroy your life. That power is always in your hands. The planets represent which energies are available to the collective, and maybe in some cases you personally at any given time, but it is very dependent on your choices, your behavior, your thought patterns, how that energy manifests in your life. I have seen some pop astrologers acknowledging that Uranus in Gemini does have a more societal and global effect, but still in the wrong way. I've seen specifically some posts that are saying that Uranus in Gemini will completely wipe out the internet for good, and also that it could, the current president. And we can keep our fingers crossed for that second one. But the first one is completely just fear-mongering that has no basis in reality. Because historically, Uranus has never been the end of anything that we have been using for decades. It brings in new ideas, new innovation. It doesn't destroy what already exists. That's kind of Pluto's job, the whole death, rebirth cycle. Uranus is about suddenly some new idea comes in that changes everything. So over the next 6 years, we might see changes to the way that we use the internet, or a new way to connect that doesn't involve the internet, but it's not going to be anything that we can even think of right now because Uranus loves to surprise us. Another pop astrology myth about Uranus and Gemini that I really wanted to bring up is one that I saw in a YouTube video where this guy was saying that Uranus is in Gemini, and Gemini, this is an exact quote, Gemini rules the third house naturally in astrology. It doesn't. That is an example of what is called the astrological alphabet, where the 12 houses in a birth chart and the 12 zodiac signs correlate to one another. This is a structure that was created for modern pop astrology to make everything easier to remember. But in my opinion, it is the worst modern astrology invention because all it does is water down the true definitions of both the houses and the signs. Uranus is not in the global third house. Uranus is in Gemini, and that has nothing to do with your local environment or the people that you talk to every day or anything else that is associated with the third house. I got so pissed off seeing all these pop astrology lies all over threads that I actually created a 7-day email series where each day I send an email to your inbox where I will bust one of these pop astrology myths with actual practical truth. So if that is interesting to you, if you want to learn more about what's really going on with Uranus and Gemini, then check the description where I have the link for you to sign up for my email list, and I will send the first one of those myth-busting emails to your inbox right away. Uranus in Gemini is not as scary or as intense as you have been led to believe. Here are the facts. Uranus is the planet of the unexpected, the unpredictable, the stuff that no one saw coming. And Gemini is known for being a very unpredictable sign that loves change and variety and is always switching it up. So this combination really says that we have no idea how Uranus and Gemini might manifest. We have no idea what this might bring. It's going to be something that we currently cannot even imagine. The only thing that is for certain is that our world will look completely different in 2032 than it does right now. Also, Uranus in Gemini really screams to me innovation, because Uranus is about bringing in new ideas, and Gemini is also very curious and loves new ideas and learning new things. So that combination just screams to me like innovation in technology, in the way that we think, in the way that information is processed. My top 3 predictions for Uranus and Gemini are a major war involving America, changes to social media and freedom of speech, and the rise of AI changing the collective consciousness. I went into depth about the historical connection between Uranus and Gemini and wars involving America in my other video on this topic, so if you want to learn more about that, definitely go and check out that other video. Basically, since the colonization of the United States of America, there has always been a major war going on when Uranus was in Gemini. So first, it was the Revolutionary War, then it was the Civil War, and then it was World War II. And right now, we have the war with Iran, which is still going on. And from an astrological viewpoint, it is highly likely that that will get worse before it gets better. Before I get into my next prediction, I want to share something that I did not cover in that other video. Right now, Uranus has just moved into Gemini and Neptune has just moved into Aries. The last time that Uranus was in Gemini at the same time that Neptune was in Aries was from 1861 to 1865. That was the entire duration of the American Civil War. In that time, enough people were against slavery to pressure the government into making it illegal. But there were also enough white Southerners who were pissed off about that law change to create their own little group, to completely rebel against what the government was doing and do what they wanted. That group was called the Ku Klux Klan. And what they wanted to do was murder and torture motivated by racism and white supremacy. Yikes. I think we're all seeing how divided America is right now, and how much right now has in common with what was going on during the Civil War, like complete political division and civil unrest, and also racism and human rights really being at the forefront of our society. And while it absolutely sucks that there are still white supremacists, it is just a fact of life that there will always be polarity. There will always be good people and there will always be some bad people. And it's your job to keep spreading joy, to keep being love, to keep doing good, so that we fight the darkness and keep those bad people as the minority, not the majority. My prediction for changes to social media and restrictions to freedom of speech is about Uranus and Gemini, because Gemini is the sign of communication, but it's also about Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto entered Aquarius in 2023, and it will be staying there until 2044. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because Aquarius is a fixed air sign. I have seen no other astrologer acknowledging this, but the very basic definition of fixed air is limited expression and restricted communication, not equality for all and freedom of speech for everyone. It's actually about restriction and limitation on communication, expression, information, etc. I think with Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius at the same time, we're going to see a lot more restrictions on freedom of speech, because in 2023 and 2024, we didn't see that so much. But since Uranus first entered Gemini in July 2025, we have seen both Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel absolutely attacked for making comments about the current political situation. Stephen Colbert announced the end of his show due to pressure from his political comments just days after Uranus first entered Gemini on July 8th. Just days after. And Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air because of his comments. When Bad Bunny performed at the Super Bowl, a Republican congressman complained to the FCC about his pelvic thrusting, which I personally don't have a problem with, and I bet you don't either. Although Uranus was in Taurus when that happened, but now Uranus is back in Gemini, and since its return to Gemini, Jimmy Kimmel has been threatened to be taken off the air again. He's been threatened by the president and the first lady themselves because of what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I think we're going to see a lot more of this happening over the next few years. Unfortunately, it's looking like a pattern. Also, social media has changed, and at the very least, private messaging through meta apps just no longer exists all of a sudden. And that is absolutely insane, but a really good example of how the restrictions on our freedom of speech and the lack of privacy can just come up all of a sudden. And this leads me into my last prediction about AI. AI has become so popular over the last 2 years. It is scary to see how fast it has entered the mainstream. Your social media feeds are now full of AI videos, AI graphics, AI songs. Even when you're out and about in the real world, you're seeing AI flyers and pamphlets. And what really pisses me off is that even though YouTube has kind of taken a stance about creators posting AI content, every other ad that I see on YouTube is made by AI or is selling an AI course. I can already see AI affecting the collective consciousness in two distinct ways. There's one group of people that are fully going along with all the AI stuff. They're taking the courses, they're asking ChatGPT for basic questions they could easily answer themselves, and the other group of people are railing against it, and they are choosing authenticity and humanness just as an act of rebellion. I'm part of that second group, in case you're wondering. I don't use AI for anything in my business or in my personal life, because my brain works just fine. I can make choices by myself, and I am a very creative person. But also because the AI data centers are destroying our environment and our communities, and because OpenAI is owned by Elon Musk, who is a trillionaire. Not a billionaire, a trillionaire. It is just sickening that there are trillionaires while there are still so many people who can't even afford to eat. I am really hoping that more people will start choosing authenticity, creativity, and humanness, because that's what makes the world beautiful, and that's what's going to create a brighter future for us all. As always, I want to end this video by reminding you that the world does feel so scary right now, and there are some very real problems going on that might be affecting your life right now. But you have so much more power than you're giving yourself credit for. You actually have influence over the future, over our government, by choosing what to spend your money on, how to spend your free time, and even what social media posts to interact with. I know these small shifts might not look like anything, they might not feel like you're doing much, but they really make a difference. These are things like choosing not to use AI, choosing to support small creators like me, and choosing to boycott major corporations with evil values like Target and Walmart. There is proof that when we band together and stick with these sorts of changes, we can create change in the larger world. One example of this is we got Jimmy Kimmel back on the air because he was taken off because of his political comments, and that might have been permanent. But so many people chose to cancel their Disney Plus subscriptions right after they heard that announcement that the ABC lost so much money that they were forced to put him back on the air because they saw how pissed off people were about restricting freedom of speech. They learned that is not accepted by the American people, and we need to keep showing the government that. Keep boycotting, keep protesting, keep fighting back, but also keep taking care of yourself. Keep focusing on the positives. Keep caring for your mental health. Keep pursuing your dreams, because the world needs more positive, passionate people who have the capacity to take meaningful action. That means that you're not so caught up in the stress and the fear, and you're instead moving from a place of authenticity, of passion, of energy, so that you can create real change. You can take one small step in the right direction right now by engaging with this video. Give it a like, share your thoughts in the comments. I would really love to hear what this video brought up for you. And be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and if you're liking the vibe. I also encourage you to take a step towards taking care of yourself right now. Go drink a glass of water after you watch this video. Have something to eat, because your body needs nourishment. Your body and your brain needs calories to be able to think so that you don't have to use AI. And I also encourage you to move your body today. It really helps you release the tension of all the fear and anger that you're probably feeling about the world events and the current political climate. In case you don't know, I also offer birth chart readings, where together we can design self-care strategies that will be unique to you to ensure that they're actually effective and that you will actually stay consistent with them. Most of this will be centered around the ruler of your fourth house, because that represents the foundation of your life and your ability to stay grounded and sane while the world around you is in total chaos. So if you want more guidance on how to take care of yourself when the world is a mess, check out the description, because I have ways to support you. And you could book a reading with me right now. I hope that you have an absolutely amazing rest of your day. Stay safe, but do not be silent. And above all, take care of yourself.